We will call to order our EDA meeting here this morning. It's a Friday, which is a little unusual for us, but we're here Friday, February 14th, 2025. Tony, would you please call the roll?
Beezer. Grasula.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kirsch.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Sandy.
Here.
Yeager.
Yes. All right. We have everyone here, looks like this morning. So the first item here is an approval of our agenda. We just have one item this morning. This is some consideration of some new business. Do we have an approval of the agenda?
I was just wondering if we could add just an update item before we adjourn.
Absolutely. What would you like? What is it?
Just an update on the 210 construction, and the chamber just sent out the meeting dates.
Okay. And are you looking for that from staff, or is that something you're going to report on?
I can report, and then maybe, I don't know if James has any other info to add, but.
Perfect. So I'm just going to make that item number, 4B, I guess, and we'll just call that an update on the 210 here. How about
To approve with the change.
we got a motion to approve the agenda with the change and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. We're off and rolling. Okay, Mr. Kramvik, please tell us why we're here this morning.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So Blockmetrics has proposed a slight redesign as part of the final design and bid package for the project at 1911 TC Drive. Lori, if you want to pull up the site plan, explain what those changes are. So I included the previous design as well in the packet. You can see in this one, the building was essentially kind of flipped horizontally from east to west. So now kind of the main offices are on that west side. Also, because of impervious surface and some of the turning radiuses, they had decided to go with kind of just that one lane on the east side of the property there. Fire department did review that. They have no issues. They are placing fire hydrants appropriately per fire code. There were also some slight redesigns to the building facade. They meet the design standards of the industrial zoning district. You'll notice the one other change, I think the building is slightly larger to accommodate a potential ninth cooler, as well as a kind of a ninth data center, or the individual data piece that's in the building. So that is not proposed immediately, but I suppose if there's enough power, that would be something that could be added to the project. I did do some calculations on what that would look like to the sound. If a ninth one were added, it would add 0.375 decibels to it, so a pretty not a major change to what the decibel readings would be to the surrounding community. So with that, I can answer any questions that the EDA may have. We also have representatives from High Tech here, as well as Blockmetrics is online.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Kramvik. Does anyone have any questions for James? Yeah, please.
I guess I just had a question about the portion of it asking to add an additional unit to it. So that's changing the minimum requirements or whatever. So is that something where they're asking just for the space to potentially add it, or is that getting written in now to the use of it to have
That would
like,
essentially get written into the use at this point, because it's in the plans.
Sorry, say that again.
It would get written into essentially what they could do in the future, so they'd be able to add that on without approval.
Okay.
Do you, if you don't mind, I can explain. I represent HITECH from the project management perspective as a consultant. Mike Dorn with NCD. The building size actually did not change. The layout of the equipment did once we got actual sizes, and we showed that we had the ability to be flexible and pick up an additional mining and cooler in the future if power standards ever changed down there and they were able to deliver more than 25 megawatts. But the current design with the 8 that met the previous EDA is utilizing the available power as it sits today. So the only reason that ninth was shown was to show within the footprint under the current layout, we could accommodate additional if it were ever available in the future. So just want to clarify that the building did not get bigger. It was more of a layout issue. Square footage wise, I think it actually got slightly smaller, but still stayed at the 25,000 square foot minimum for tax abatement purposes. Hopefully that clarifies.
Understood. Thank you.
I guess I'm just trying to clarify, so we're like writing into the minimum use that we're stipulating that it would have to have this much capacity, whether Block Metrics develops it or if it reverts back to us, it would have to have that amount of capacity.
So it wouldn't have to. It would allow them for the expansion in the future.
Guess
So
I'm
once
trying to get at is like, are we writing us into an agreement where whether Block Metrics develops it or if it reverts back to us, are we expanding the amount that we're required to have whoever develops it do?
So I don't believe so, and really once this is constructed, the purchase and development agreement does end at that point. So they're able to, now we are working on a data center ordinance through the Planning Commission. So if they were to add this and City Council approve that ordinance, they would have to come for a potential conditional use permit to add that one. But once this is constructed with the 8 data center coolers as well as the miners, the purchase agreement then would essentially end. So you don't continue to have a purchase agreement in perpetuity. Once things are built to the standards that are approved here, that part's done. So then they just have to follow essentially our zoning laws within Brainerd.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my concern is just the issues that have been raised around the sound issues. I understand the calculations are showing that it'd be pretty minimal, but if I'm understanding correctly, there's no like conditional use stipulated on this now. So if it does exceed any sound minimums, like what's our recourse for getting the developer to get it within the like reasonable limits, I guess?
So, kind of just like before, we don't have a data center ordinance at this time, but they still have to abide by MPCA noise standards. So, if there were concerns from this, the ordinance is not in place at this point, then the city may have to do some type of measurement or ask the developer to do some type of sound measurement to make sure that they are within those standards. If not, fines could potentially be levied upon the property or potentially legal action.
Okay. Because I guess I'm fine with approving the plans to like have the potential to add more units, but I just want to make sure we're not approving this additional whatever unit in there, and then we keep adding to what is going to be producing sound without having any kind of recourse to correct that. So I guess if we approve this today, are we just approving it to have the potential to add it, and they'll have to come back again and get approval to actually put the unit in the space that's being allocated for it?
So the way it's set up is for that future 9th one. It's part of the construction plans. So without the data center ordinance, in my opinion, they'd be probably able to add that 9th one as part of the plans here. So it'd be approving that 9th one. But if the data center ordinance is in place, they would have to come back to City Council. If they first construct it with 8, then with the data center ordinance is in place and they want to add that 9th one, they would have to then come back for the conditional use permit as the ordinance is proposed.
Okay.
Not to the EDA, though. It would be to the Planning Commission and City Council.
Okay.
And it sounded like the 9th Center needed to go through, they need to get approved through public utilities.
As of right now, they don't have enough power.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Sandy, please.
Do you have like a timeline on when the planning commission is like gonna have this data center ordinance in place, and are there provisions that are gonna cover this type of issue?
It would. So this would be an expansion of use. So this building permit would be issued as proposed timeline by the developer, would be issued before the ordinance would be in effect. Once it's built, though, and they're looking to potentially expand that 9th one, that's when they'd have to come back to the Planning Commission and City Council.
That ordinance.
And the ordinance, we're looking we have a meeting tomorrow. We're going to be reviewing the ordinance again, and then probably at the next meeting holding the public hearing. So we're probably about a month and a half away from the ordinance being in effect.
So the ordinance will likely be in effect before any potential for this 9th unit to get added.
Yes, likely. And then, Lori, if you want to pull up the calculations on the main memo sheet. So you see, every time essentially you double the number of units, that's when you add 3 decibels. It's a point source sound. They're kind of all together and radiating out. If you want to go a little bit further down, so right there, so the previous one was that the 8 coolers were in the previous design at 77 decibels. That's where all the calculations come from. To actually add another 3 decibels, you'd have to go up to 16 of the coolers next to each other. So adding potentially that one cooler would only add the 0.375 decibels to it. So the calculation is pretty sound. It's a fairly easy calculation to do within the MPCA guidelines there. So I don't think adding that one would be any type of a significant increase from what's already proposed.
Understood. Any other questions? Okay, and just to clarify, this has already gone before the planning commission, or this goes from us to the planning commission, then on to the city council?
Nope.
Or
So
what
this
the
is again.
steps
This
here,
is
James?
just the EDA.
Okay.
So it's a revision of the purchase and development agreement.
Okay.
Because as of right now, data centers are permitted in the industrial zoning district.
Understood. So it doesn't even need to go in front of the planning commission, because the changes to the entrance egress, that's all, there's no variances, there's no deviations from our building code from that aspect.
That's correct.
Correct? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and James, just kind of walk us through what exactly you're looking for possible action today?
So action, there's an attached resolution that would essentially approve the change of scope to the minimum improvements, which are the construction documents.
Understood, thank you.
Move to approve the attached resolution.
Yeah, we have a motion to approve the resolution and a second by Johnson. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Tony, please call the roll.
Grisula?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Kirsch?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Yeager?
Yes. All right, we have the resolution passes. And with that, we will move on to our 210 update. Would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, just
Perfect.
a quick update. I just saw that the chamber sent out a meeting notice for March 6th for the Highway 210 reconstruction. It looks like another meeting with MnDOT. There's like a morning session and an afternoon one. Unfortunately, the morning one, I think, is at the same time as our scheduled EDA meeting. But it would be great to have somebody from EDA there. And I don't know, James, if you were planning to attend either
I'll be
of
there.
those sessions. But I think that's going to be a good opportunity to give feedback on detour routes and just in anticipation of the EDA's workshop coming up the following month. It just would be good to stay informed on what those updates are. But yeah, I'm going to try to make the afternoon one. It's just during my regularly scheduled work hours, so I can't guarantee I'll be there, but I think as long as somebody from EDA can be there.
I plan to be there on the 3:30 session, but we should probably make sure we don't have more than we should have at that session. So maybe if you are planning on attending either the morning or the afternoon session, maybe let James know so we can, or Tony know, so we can make sure we don't have too many people there. But, or also if you have any specific questions that you'd like for me or somebody else who's attending to ask or be answered, send it in to Tony. Yeah, please.
Just have a quick question right now because Gabe and I have sat on the subcommittee for the 210 project. What is there that could still potentially change? I thought everything was already approved and done.
I think they're getting input on like the detour routes.
Okay.
More construction related from what I understand.
Okay.
Signage, that kind of thing.
Did we talk about having some firm come in and help with that? I thought we talked with Haskamp about something. We were
I
gonna.
think that's what we're gonna try to talk about at the April meeting, is figuring out how, that
I think there was
project's gonna work.
somebody that helped in Alexandria or something with a project they had that was similar, but I don't remember if
With
we ever.
signage and that kind of thing.
Yeah, signage, events,
Was
just
that was
business
More of a
promotion.
strategic mitigation plan and just having better communications out to businesses. That's kind of part of it too, but yeah. Do we have an April date set for the workshop, or is that something we're still gonna be scheduling?
So, I know you had emailed me about potential upcoming dates here. So the EDA will have 2 meetings coming up. The regularly scheduled meeting will be, again, the first Thursday of next month at 7:30. And then kind of same time for April, we have that workshop, which will be that first Thursday in April as well at 7:30. So kind of normal meeting times. Next meeting will be the regular one. We'll do the election of officers, and then conduct regular business. And then the April one will be the workshop where we could certainly discuss that part.
That first Thursday in April, James?
Yep.
Okay.
And then are we inviting like Bladec to that and any other, I don't know if we want to invite any other stakeholders to give input on
We could.
210 stuff, or I can chat with you more about it too, but yeah.
Okay, any other 210 update from your side, James? Okay, thank you. And with that, we are to the end of our agenda, so.
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, everyone.